So these films are Tamasha, Highway, and Rockstar.
Yeah.
But they're in different ways, I think Tamasha showcased all these visual photography, each frame being like a photograph. We actually took quite literally when we shot certain parts of it. But just the landscape of Highway is such that it is very difficult to compare that quality with anything else, just because the landscape is such. And also Rockstar, because the storytelling through a visual frame was interesting for me to do in that.
So, we'll dive into this, the photography community building initiative that's there. It's called the No Filter by Indigo. It captures the essence of Delhi, basically, so many photographers coming together
Sure.
and doing that. Can you tell us, sir, a little bit about your association by No Filter by Indigo as a judge?
So firstly, let me say that I've been a fan of National Geographic magazine forever. And even as a kid, I used to be locked into a library and going through these photographs and then also reading articles, etc. And much of what I now enjoy in my life, which is travel and meeting people and cuisine and architecture, have come from Nat Geo. So it was interesting and thrilling for me actually to get called to do a photography or a storytelling through photography initiative with Nat Geo, which is this No Filter by Indigo. And what I do in this is a community building exercise of photographers, and also encouraging them to in a world where everything seems that it can be changed, filtered, manipulated, image wise, also encouraging young photographers to do photography with no filter, so that there is the raw expression of photography is better harnessed, So I really like this initiative because I feel that while so many things are changing and so many things can be controlled, the power of raw photography is still supreme and it should be encouraged. So I think those are the principles of this initiative, and I firstly corresponded 100% with them. And what we do over here is that we have some participants that come in, and it's like they get in their photographs, and there are two. There's a jury of two people, which is very prolific Raghu Rai, the photographer, and myself. And so we comment on the photographs of these individuals, and then there is some sort of a competition to get to the top of who's done better, who's done worse, and things like that. And so this is a show actually which is going to No Filter by Indigo, is a show that will come on the 30th of September every Saturday at 8 p.m. So please check it out.
Lovely. Really looking forward to that. But sir, you tell me personally, have you been fond of photography? Are you still fond of photography beyond being a filmmaker?
I'm very fond of photography, actually. I'm very fond of visual image making, also still photography per se. I don't get very often as a film director. But I'm also demoralized by always the presence of a better photographer with me in the form of a cinematographer. So I don't end up taking many pictures myself, except for the regular phone camera pictures that I sometimes take of food and places and faces, etc. I hope that, but camera is very fascinating for me, of course, and I collaborate, but I have not followed my own personal passion of individual photography that much. Life is long, maybe I can.
Of course, it's never too late. Again, coming to the No Filter by Indigo. So like I was saying, it also captures, the heartland, the spirit of Delhi.
Of
Delhi
Bollywood.
is also, it's a very important, special place for you. We have seen a lot of it in your films. I think in be it Love Ajkal or Rockstar, the city almost becomes like a character in itself.
Sure.
Is there more to Delhi that is left for you to explore in your films going ahead?
So, as you said, No Filter by Indigo, this initiative that we've done is completely based in Delhi. Every
Hmm.
photograph that we look at has been taken in Delhi, and it
Yeah.
shows these forms of Delhi. Much of it has not come into the purview of my films.
Hmm. Hmm.
Almost all the places that they shot at, and they shot at very interesting places in this show that I'm talking about, No Filter by Indigo.
Hmm.
But almost I've never shot any movie in any of those locations.
Okay.
I feel that that Delhi has an unlimited amount to give to visual storytelling. I feel
Hmm.
very excited at the prospect of shooting in Delhi.
Hmm.
And I feel that it will never exhaust itself. There is too much drama in Delhi.
That's right. That's true. Okay. So each frame in your films, and I'm solely saying this as an audience, not a fan only. I think each frame sort of looks like, a photographic frame, like a painting in your films. Some of the frames I'm talking about. Which, according to you, is your most visually stunning film?
Well, it's difficult to say, but I feel that, see, I I feel that at least three or four films
Hmm.
have done well in terms of photography and visual representation, etc. But in different ways. So these films are Tamasha, Highway, and Rockstar.
Yeah.
But they're in different ways. I think Tamasha showcased all these visual photography, each frame being like a photograph. We actually took quite literally when we shot certain parts of it.
Hmm.
But the landscape of Highway is such that it is very difficult to compare that quality with anything else, just because the landscape is such. And also Rockstar, because the storytelling through a visual frame was interesting for me to do in that. So I would say these three. It's difficult to say which one particularly.
Okay, okay. Like you said, coming back to photography and the show. So what's really, I mean, you're quite active on social media. What's really on your take on, the new generation of budding photographers?
See, for one thing, I feel that photography has become more and more prolific and prominent in these times.
Hmm.
When there are so many channels and OTT platforms and digital platforms, etc. Yet, still photography per se has never really is still thriving very strongly, and a lot of fresh blood comes into it at all times.
Hmm.
I feel that the new photographers are like the older generation. Their ideas are, or their, I think photography is also a very individualistic thing to do. So
Hmm.
when you meet photographers, they strike you as individual people rather than representations of an era or a time.
Hmm.
That has remained constant in photographers and photography per se. Of course, the present day photographer or all the participants of this show, for instance, they are dealing with different technical aspects. They are
Hmm.
not dealing with film. They are dealing with digital. They are dealing with different kinds of or numbers of lenses. They have much more option of post production
Hmm. Hmm.
than there was before. So all of that. But however, this particular show was the special emphasis of it was no filter.
Right.
So we were trying to process the raw image. We were trying to present the raw image and encourage people to go and shoot basically a strong raw image and not base themselves on what they're going to do later on it.
That's true. That's right. The reason why I'm actually bringing your films is only because of this reason, that, like I was telling you, every time we see a still of your film on social media, it actually looks like a stunning portrait, which I would want to definitely hang in my living room someday. And so, I was seeing this one image, from one of your films, Tamasha. Do you often read about things like how people really dissect these things, the color of the characters' clothes, and how Imtiaz Ali must have given a full-on thought into it? Do you
No, but
read all these dissections?
I don't read that much. And,
Okay.
of these, sometimes I do actually, and maybe you are referring to the hard colored shirt that Deepika was wearing, etc. But I must also say that when a filmmaker, myself for instance, is setting a frame, or
Hmm.
when a photographer is setting a frame, every aspect or every part of the frame can tell the story that he's telling, that has to be told. So these things, that the color of the costume should signify something, definitely we do think,
Hmm.
and there is, in filmmaking, there are many people that collaborate. In still photography, there are fewer, perhaps just one individual photographer who goes and shoots. But I'm sure that these things go through in his mind or her mind.
Hmm.
Like in the case of Tamasha, we were very clear and specific about why that shirt has to be of that color in that scene,
Hmm. Hmm.
that she has to represent heart. And I'm so glad that people have the range, in the audience to understand that, to get that. But even if they don't, the larger numbers of people, even if they don't, they subconsciously get the message. Because as a human race, um, certain colors, certain moods, certain characteristics, certain sounds signify a certain story and a certain experience to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
A warmth is given by certain colors, which are called warm colors.
Hmm.
That's because all human beings understand that to be warm colors. And I think it's very fascinating, and I'm also very happy that the audience also enjoys this and thinks about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Lastly, on a last leg of this interview, so I cannot let you go unless I ask you what's the update on Chamkila.
uh, well, we shouldn't be discussing that over here, but it's kind of coming pretty soon, and I hope that you like it when you see it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.